Hey there, listener. Thank you for pressing play. This week on the Jock and Nerd podcast, we remember and celebrate the life of a legendary icon that created everything I love, the father of Marvel Comics, Stan the Man Lee. Plus, is the success of Venom going to make it harder for Disney to get Spider-Man back? You're going to get our thoughts on the Detective Pikachu trailer, Aquaman screening early for Amazon Prime members, news from the nation, and a whole bunch more. All in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Thursday, November 15th, 2018. Nuff said, true believer.
Check. Check one. All right. This is for all you fans out there. Let's give it up. We jockin', we nerdin'. We funny, disturbing. We nerded. Spoiler alert. Oh yeah. Shocking, we nerded. We funny, disturbing. Oh yeah. Shocking, we nerded. Spoiler alert. You know what's up. Shocking, we nerded.
Hello, listener. What's up? Thanks for joining us this week, and welcome to the Jock and Nerd podcast, where we bring you our Jock and Nerd brand of comic book and superhero TV and movie news, reviews, and whatever we choose. Jock and Nerd. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the nerd.
And that felty over there is Rug Boy. What's up, Rugs?
Excalibur!
No, that's not the saying.
Oh, it's the wrong thing.
You're close.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's a sad week, everyone. Of course, we will be, you've seen the title of the show. We're going to be celebrating, remembering the life of a comic legend, icon, myth maker, the guy who created everything, Stan Lee, who passed away. For the new listener, I want to mention, check out our website and the show notes for this episode, jockandnerd.com/248, where there'll be lots of links. There was a lot of great articles about him this week. There'll be links to videos.
A lot of good artist tributes.
A lot of good artist tributes.
I don't know if you saw those.
I saw a couple of those from comic book artists and like internet artists like Boss Logic. And then there'll be links on how to get in touch with the show and how to subscribe to the show, because we're everywhere. You can listen in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are. That's where we are. So yeah, let's get on with it, fellas.
The Jock and Nerd podcast.
It's weird. It's the first show in the post-Stan Lee world. We are Stan Lee-less. If you haven't heard, I'm sure you heard earlier this week, Stan Lee passes away at age 95, something that every geek and nerd was dreading, that we knew. It's not shocking. We knew it was coming. It's just a matter
especially this year, yeah.
Yes, this past year, the most tumultuous year in his life personally, and we'll get into that a little bit, but holy God, like, this is huge. So, the outpouring of...
Where were you when you heard? That's the first thing I wanted.
That's a good question. You know what's funny is Anthony texted me, Facebook messaged me first at work. I was upstairs. And Anthony, you were the one. I look at my phone and it says Stan Lee's dead.
Oh, shit.
And that's how the news was broken for me. Anthony, how did you find out?
I was on Instagram, and I was just happened to check Instagram, and someone posted R.I.P. Stan Lee with like a picture of him. Like, oh shit! So I immediately Googled it, and I was like, oh, he is gone. Let me let my all my friends know that would know who Stan Lee is.
On Veterans Day observed, which is kind of fitting because he was a World War II veteran. Rugs,
Yeah.
How was your experience? How did you find
Well,
out?
I was in the basement as usual.
Of course. Going
And
through the
there was
garbage.
a knock at the door.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, oh, my Amazon package. And it was just a random kid on the street that knew that I like comic books. And he was like, yo, Stan Lee's dead.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, what? And I'm like, how did I not know this? I was just on my phone.
Wow, you were told by a newsie from the 30s?
Yeah,
It's very odd.
basically.
But like, it was that thing where everyone came up to me. They're like, I got to tell Imran this news. Like,
Yeah.
the first thing when people heard this, they came over. They're like, oh my God, did you hear? And I was like, yeah.
Did people call you for like, or talk to you for your like reaction? Like people were calling me and they were like,
Wow.
"Hey, Ruggs, what do you think of this? Like, how you feeling right now?"
Well, look, let's start there because you've seen everyone's, the cast of the MCU, all the artists, you've read all these outpouring of love for this man. Everyone loved him. And I just wanted to ask you guys, like, what did Stan Lee mean to you? Ruggs, why don't you start?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, I mean, I always thought I would be the last one, but anyway,
I'm flipping it up. I'm keeping you on your toes.
You're keeping me on my toe.
Tippy toes.
Yes, on my camel toe.
Yes, your camel toe.
When I was a kid, I used to watch Saturday morning TV. I got into Spider-Man, as you know, from action figures and toys and stuff. I got toys before I could read, right?
Yep.
And then cartoons before I could read. And then I eventually graduated to comic books. So my introduction was through the Spider-Man, those Mego toys. And then all of a sudden, the TV show in the 70s. And there was that first show with called Spider-Man. Not the Spider-Man, the one from the 70s, but the other one where Stan Lee, actually, his voice was on the cartoon.
Right.
And he's like, "Hey, true believers, this is Stan Lee," and blah, blah, blah. And I was cool and all, and I was like, "Oh, that's a dude."
Before Amazing Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah, this was just called Spider-Man. Or as Stan Lee would say, Spider-Man. Anyway, so then when I read comic books, finally got comic books that I could read, then I would read Stan's soapbox. I was like, this is the fucking guy from the TV who introduced Spider-Man. Oh, he created Spider-Man? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
And it just, the mystique kept growing and growing. And then eventually I got to the point where people started like saying, "Oh, this motherfucker like created everything." And I was like, "He did?" And I was like, did he draw it? Because I thought drawing it was like the ultimate thing. I had no respect for writers.
Right.
I thought like people who drew the comics actually made the comics.
Yeah.
The writers are just a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Like, who cares who writes it? It's like you're drawing Spider-Man punching a guy. Like that's what you're doing it. So then when I started to get respect for like writing, and I realized, oh, he had to collaborate and create these things. I had this whole like, oh, I want to be him.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to be. I want to be Stan Lee, because I used to like think that the only big creator in the world was Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized that this guy was probably as prolific and creative.
Yep.
And so like he was just always a hero of mine ever since I could put those facts together about him. And as I got older, of course, I investigate more and learned about Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and all the basically how he got into the whole thing. So it did take away from the mystique a little bit because it wasn't all him. But I still think that he's such an important figure, and none of this would have happened without him.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah.
I have nothing but respect for the guy. I think he's always exuded altruistically. Like, he's never like seemed like an evil dude or a shifty dude, even though a lot of people try and paint him that way.
Yeah.
Like Bob Kane, when
That
someone told me
dude
that
is a
when
shitty
someone told
dude.
me he was a shifty fucker,
Yeah.
I was like, I could tell because he acts like an ass.
Yes, and if you watch that
And-
documentary and find out what he does to Bill Finger, that's a shitty, shifty dude for real.
And Stan Lee is more of a salesman, like,
Yes.
but he doesn't seem as slimy.
Right.
He's a promoter.
He's that was like what, not just creating these characters, but promoting the brand, becoming who he is.
I'm sure he's done some dirt, but like, hasn't everyone?
Yeah,
like
nobody's perfect. Right.
Yeah.
Anthony, when were you first aware of Mr. Stan Lee?
When was I first aware? Well, let me answer it like this.
Yeah.
So, Stan Lee, 95 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knew he was, eventually he was going to pass. So it wasn't like this like shocking thing. So like, when it's not shocking, you're not really like as, I wouldn't say like emotionally distraught or saddened when it happens. So like I find out he dies or whatever. I'm like, oh, that it sucks. And then the more it starts to sink in, I'm like, man, like this guy was a fucking icon.
Yeah.
Like this guy like is up there with like Disney and like
Absolutely.
all the great, right? I don't know, Aesop's fables. Well, what other great
Mark Twain.
Right, yeah, like
He's a
all
little
these,
bit, yeah.
Like all the great creators.
J.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis.
Sure. Like, and he might be up there like 1-2 with Disney. Like Walt
absolutely,
Disney.
he's up there with Disney.
So like I'm like, man, that's fucking like this guy was like you almost took for granted that he was always going to be around. So like I was like, And then I started seeing like all the tributes, and the one that got me was like the one with Spider-Man with his mask hanging on the tree, and he's like on the grave of Stan Lee, like holding his face. I'm like, damn, man, like this is kind of emotional. Like he's gone. Like even though he's old, and like it probably was his time, and he's lived probably a fantastic life. I was like, still, man, that's like, this is kind of strange. Like he's actually gone. But as far as like first knowledge of Stan Lee, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, as a kid, I always was aware of Marvel, you know, through the TV shows, the X-Men TV show, Spider-Man TV show, you know, and then I'd go to the store, and at the supermarket, you'd see the comics like lined up towards like the ends of the what you call them, hallways? I don't even know what you call it. The aisles.
The aisles.
Yeah. You'd always see like the comics there. I was like, oh, like all these characters, Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, X-Men, you know, they were all kind of interchangeable for me, but they're all like, you remember all of them. And then you find out later on that like you look at the back pages, and there's this guy on the back like writing little things on there, and I'm
talking to you.
Yeah, you find out, that's the guy that supposedly created all this. And then as you get older, you realize, like as you get a teenager, Stan Lee is the guy that created all this. So I mean, it wasn't probably till like I was 10 or 12, 10 to 12 when I actually knew who Stan Lee was. And even then, you don't really like put any value towards the guy. You're just like, well, like whatever. Like this is, I don't care. He's not the comic.
Right.
And then when you get older, and like in your teens and then all that, you're like, oh man, that's really cool that he created all this. And like the amount of imagination this person had, and it's like, wow, that's unbelievable. I can't fucking imagine all this shit. The things I imagine are like fucking girls with their tops off. Like, yeah. Or like some like nonsensical character. Like I was like, that doesn't fucking mean anything. Or like Cockroach Man. I was like, what? Like, why can't I think of things like this? So yeah, I mean, you go gain that respect, and then as I got back into comics, then I was, then I realized even more, how important this figure was, and you see him in all the fucking movies, and and every movie he's in, it's now like the running gag. You're gonna see Stan Lee, and everyone knows who he is. He's just become this pop culture icon. So yeah, I mean, it's now that he's away and all that, kind of reflect on this. I mean, this show wouldn't be what it is without him. I mean, he didn't directly create it, but he created the content that we spend about 60 to 70% of our show talking about. We don't talk about DC. This is DC because of its own doing.
We're Marvel
this
heavy.
Is a Marvel heavy show, and the reason why we're doing this is because, well, he created most of the characters we're talking about. So it's in reflection and thinking about us, it's like, damn, man, like I owe a lot of my fucking happiness in my life to this man.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow, that's pretty deep.
Absolutely. No, but that's where I was trying to get you to go, because his influence, his impact is so, when you stop and think about all the things he did, this guy is larger than life, and it was someone who you all forgot that he was a real person. You thought he became this icon, this character. It kind of felt like he would live forever. Look, if you listen to the show, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, just like Ruggs. I got in from toys to cartoons to comics. I remember having a Spider-Man garbage can when I was very little, Spider-Man toothbrush holder on the wall of my bathroom.
Spider-Man light switch.
Spider-Man light switch, yes. And all the toys from the 70s and the 80s, it was just there, and there was something about the mask and the eyes. And I'm surrounded by Spider-Man images in my studio to this day. Like, this guy created stuff that molded my childhood, that gave a kid who had vitiligo and was picked on a place to escape and relate in a character like Peter Parker, who was kind of going through the same thing, and you could fantasize. But then at the same time, dropping morals like with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that's so, like, I mean, I was talking about how I got wind of Stan Lee, but if I'm talking about what Stan Lee means to me, that's a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah, I took it right there over there real quick.
Yeah, I was just talking about like how I found out about him and how he came into my life. But I mean, if we're talking about the magnitude of like how much he's affected me, I didn't really realize so much that he had to do with it. I felt like, Spider-Man was just belonged to the world. I didn't realize it was. The thing is, it's like he was batting like 1,000.
Yes,
right. Like this motherfucker, like not just one character that like hit. Like all of these characters hit, And you could say, oh, it was Jack Kirby. But, like, Jack Kirby was doing shit way before Stan Lee was involved. Stan Lee used to get him his coffee, you know? Like, so, like, he had all this time before Stan Lee got involved to, like, make this iconic thing and never did. I think that he was kind of like a catalyst that brought some kind of writing knowledge or some kind of something. He had a vision of something that was able to guide this to be what it is. I mean, the Spider-Man is as important to me as religion growing up.
Absolutely.
All right. In fact, it made more sense than religion to me.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man or Peter Parker would always do the right thing no matter how bad it fucked him up. He would always put other people first because of the guilt that he had of not doing the right thing and seeing the effects of that. And that's like it's a mind fuck because I became a paranoid person because of that. But that's a proof of how much I got affected by it because I would think, okay, I can't fucking dick this person over because this is going to happen.
It's teaching you morals. It's interesting you said it's your religion because, religion teaches us morals growing up. But my thing always growing up was like, do we really need organized religion to teach us morals? Would we have learned this anyway? Is there another way to learn this? And what Stan Lee did by setting his stories in the modern day world, by making the characters human and flawed, by talking about social issues that affected everyone because we're all living here together. He taught you philosophy and moralistic views, but in a way that wasn't like religious over your head, heavy-handed. You learned, what true north is reading Captain America, how to always do the right thing no matter what. And it's better than religion because here's the decent morals we need to learn, and it's way more entertaining than Bible stories sometimes. Although some of those stories are also
I think
crazy.
It's all a bunch of hoo-ha anyway. But
stories is stories. Just like Greek mythology, he created our modern day mythology. I want to tell the listener, if you want to let us know what Stan Lee meant to you, definitely join our Facebook group. It's called the Jock and Nerd Nation. People have been sharing their favorite cameos and photos, and the conversation from the show continues there. It's been really great to see all your guys' posts about Stan Lee. It's a closed group just for you, and we are still accepting roast audio for our 250th episode. It's 2 weeks away. But
get in there, dudes.
Get in there, mix it up, make fun of us, and get into the nation, and we'll all hang out. The conversation will continue. I want to continue. Let's give a little bit of details on Stan Lee's life, because whoever ends up with the rights to this, the story is quite amazing.
Mark Maron, I hope that you're by your phone.
See, I want to go Bryan Cranston because I think he's a better actor than Maron. Maron can just kind of play Maron, but Stan Lee's kind of like Maron.
Oh, you want Cranston for Stan Lee?
I think Cranston would be an amazing
Oh, he would rock that shit out of that. Oh,
Holy
wow.
shit,
That is
imagine-
such a
yeah.
good pull. Wow.
Look, he looks just like him. Stanley, born Stanley Martin Lieber in 1922 in New York City. So he starts working at Timely Comics when he's just 19 years old. This is what Marvel was called before. And like you said, Ruggs, he was fetching coffee for Jack Kirby in the beginning.
Right.
Makes his comics debut in 1941, writing some text filler for an issue of Captain America. Then he serves in the military. Like, this is part of his life I don't think a lot of people know. And if you look up pictures of him at this time, he looked completely different. This is his first lifetime. He lived like 2 lifetimes. He's clean cut, doesn't have a beard. In the Army, he didn't see combat, but he was put into the training film division, given the classification of playwright, and he directed training films like that.
Well, he came up with VD, not me.
Oh, really?
That was his big
That was the
thing.
slogan?
Yeah, he actually drew this cartoon. Like, he drew a little bit because when he worked for in the comics at Timely Comics, they had him like be like the butt boy. So like any job that nobody wanted to do, he would do. So he would ink stuff. He would do all kinds of
anything,
stuff.
right?
Lettering, all that stuff. And then when he was in the Army, he came up with this slogan called that said VD, not me, to pamphlets that would be handed out so the soldiers wouldn't get VD. And he drew a little cartoon of a little soldier boy saying VD, not
Do you
me.
know how many fucking Army dicks Stan saved?
Oh, shit.
The man was a hero before he did anything.
Exactly.
And then there's the famous story. If you listen to the Business Wars Marvel versus DC series, it's pretty great. And I learned extra stuff. So, like, the 2 stories I heard combined kind of go like this. DC comes out with the Justice League in 1960. Martin Goodman, who was Stan's uncle and editor at Time of Marvel, comes to Stan. He's like, I want you to just rip off the Justice League. We need a superhero team. Just do it. And Stan that day was going to go in to tell him that he's done writing comics. He had been toiling in like romance, Western comics for the last 20, 30 years. Yeah. Didn't want to do it anymore. He's like, I can't do this. At which point Martin Goodman's like, make a team. So he goes back home, and Joan, his wife, who so many decisions made by Joan have shaped what he is. Like, it would have went off completely different if it wasn't for her. She tells Stan, make one last thing you want to do, Stan. It's fine. You can quit, but make one last thing. So he goes back to Goodman. He goes, I'll make you a team, but I want to do it my way. He comes back with the Family Fantastic Four in 1961. And that literally changes the game there for modern superhero comics. Now, we talked about his output. He created all of his characters, some 200 characters, between the years 1961 and 1972. Think about that. Think about that. And everything.
It's 11 years. That's it.
One after another. Everything he came out with was a hit. Everything sold. And in 1972, he stops writing monthly. So for the controversy of him not giving the writing credit to the artist, that's there. But he creates this Marvel method, which is really the only way one man in those 10 years was writing, art directing, editing 10 books a month. You know, he would give the artist a paragraph of what the issue is. The artist would just make up what it is. He would come back and fill in the word balloons.
Yeah.
10 books a month this way for like 10, 11 years. That's crazy.
Right. He did leave a lot in the hands of the artist. And
yes, he did.
But the thing is that Stan Lee doesn't like Bob Kane, deny that Bill Finger did anything.
Right.
He always says that he had help. Like, if you see any interview in the recent 20 years.
Yep.
Like, he's maybe in the 70s he didn't say shit.
Yeah.
Maybe he was still in the middle of the battle with them and kind of fighting with them and didn't want to give them a satisfaction.
Yeah.
But I think later on, he, especially in the past 20 years, he's given credit in every turn to those guys. And so it's not like he's denying their existence and didn't do anything.
In fact, the whole idea of giving the artist credit, creator credits in a comic book, everybody's seen it. Everyone's used to it. Here's the letterer, here's the inker, here's the writer, here's the editor. Stan Lee was the first one to do that, and soon everyone else started doing that. And so he's co-creator of these characters, but I think another huge thing...
You got to, before you go into that, you got to just give props to the fact that every character you can think of in Marvel...
had to be drawn.
That is, no, not that, is that he created.
Yes.
Literally, anybody that's popular right now, think back, look back, and you'll see that he created that.
And even if he didn't technically create it, he still had the wherewithal to put it under his umbrella and promote the shit out of it like he did create it.
Right. And he also was the one, he might not have been filling in all the details, but he was the one that put the concept of, okay, I want to do a family.
Yeah.
Real family issues under the guise of superhero comics. Fantastic Four. I want to do a coming into your own as a teenager, Spider-Man.
Yep.
Anger issues, Hulk.
Yep.
Let's do someone super nerdy, Iron Man.
Racism and puberty is your X-Men.
Yeah. Right. All of this stuff, he just tied it to everything that was going on. The Black Panther, the movement that was going on.
The height of the civil rights movement, he creates Black Panther. Unbelievable.
But the thing about a couple of things that you kind of glossed over, I want to just touch on. So Stan Lee, he was actually, he wanted to be a writer.
Yeah.
And he actually got his shit into the newspaper a couple times, won some contests. So he did have he had writing talent.
Yes.
All right. So he had that mind. So that's number one. He just didn't just end up at, some people were trying to say that, well, he did end up at Timely because he was related to the guy who
but he always wanted to be a storyteller and a writer. Yeah.
So he did get in there through trying to, because people try and paint Stan Lee all of these haters. Because when the minute that he died, I said, okay, T-minus 20 minutes before someone starts now besmirching him. And
there's haters. Yeah.
Yeah, and just start saying that he was a piece of shit. And I've seen people do that.
Skeezy motherfuckers.
No. But look, there are some legitimate arguments. I'm not saying that there aren't, but they're trying to say nepotism. He was only successful because he was nepotism and his uncle worked there or his uncle got them the job, blah, blah, blah. And that's why Jack Kirby didn't like him. But so he was doing superhero shit before superheroes went out of style.
Yeah, in the golden age.
So he wrote these books called the All Winners.
Yeah, you
where it was
sent
like the
this-
first superhero team.
Yeah, I'll put this in the show notes.
Yeah, he created like superheroes before that didn't hit.
It's technically Marvel's first superhero team from 1941.
And it was timely, yeah.
It was timely, and it was Captain America, Human Torch, Submariner, and this character, the Destroyer, who you said that's his first comic book creation.
Well, that's what he said.
That's what
I'm
he
not
said,
Sure.
okay.
I'm just taking
The
him at his
Destroyer,
word from an
yeah.
interview that he said.
And they were called
But,
the All Winners Squad.
Yeah, the All Winners. But like, so I mean, there was an Avengers before there was an Avengers.
Absolutely,
even.
yeah.
But that it wasn't popular then. So what I'm saying is, even an Avengers didn't work because it wasn't like he didn't create it all. Like Captain America, Human Torch were all created by other people.
Right.
So
Joe
Fantastic Four, though,
Yeah.
does take off.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man does take off. And that's like the foundation. And then they start slapping on the Avengers and all this other stuff. And it's just nonstop hits.
I mean,
So-
yeah.
Let me comment too.
Yeah.
Let's say he got it because of nepotism. Or if that was the case, or whatever, he might have known somebody. He's still got to create the things that then the public will like.
Know how hard that is?
Yeah,
He's an
that's
Think
entertainer.
super
about,
hard.
Yes.
think about the countless millions of characters that people have created that have not resonated with people.
For this man, like I said,
And he's created literally hundreds.
he created Spider-Man when he was 40. This is like the second part of his life. And for this man to create hundreds of characters that have been around for 60 years, that'll be around forever, and then to see them realized in a $16 billion franchise on the big screen and to be in the movies, to be regarded as a legend while you're alive, that is so rare to happen.
I mean, he created the stuff that is modern day.
He created, modern day geek culture.
Well, and not only that, I'm saying modern. Like this is the modern day like gods, like the Titans.
Yes,
of
modern day mythology.
Mythology.
So despite the nepotism and all that, I just think like Stan Lee, like can you imagine a world without Marvel?
He had obstacles. He had the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah,
he had things.
He fucking stood up to them, but he was always meant to happen. Like we'll never have another Stan Lee, but this person just like this death hit me big, like Prince and Michael Jackson. Although those hit me a little bit harder because they were so young and it was like it came out of nowhere. But this is just as big, dude. This is just as huge.
He is a name that will live on forever.
That everyone knows.
And even the thing is like even if let's say you forget the names.
Yeah.
Like his creations will live on forever, and then people, someone will ask, well, who invented that guy? Who made him? Oh, it's Stan Lee. Like, he's gonna be around.
They're going to be around, but they won't be the way Stan Lee made them.
No.
Unfortunately, they're already changing a lot of things about the heroes. Like Spider-Man is no longer the guy that Stan Lee created. And I think that even he admits that a few times. He said that publicly, that it's their character now and they're doing it. And that's the thing that Marvel actually, got rid of Stan Lee for a few years.
Yep.
And then they ended up taking him back. I think he sued them and shit. So like
there was a lot of stuff that came out that he didn't know how to run a
start a
business.
company like Marvel, and then you're gone.
Yeah.
You created everything. You create everything that it's built on, and then they just force you out. It makes you want to be the Green Goblin and come back and blow everybody up with pumpkin bombs.
Well, there was a lot of stuff that came out that he wasn't very good at running business itself.
Yeah, that might be true. But
Joan,
still,
Joan had the business sense from the stories I hear. Like she always made was in his ear to make the better decisions. And as we saw in the last year, after she died, people were playing the Game of Thrones of Stan Lee.
I don't even want to talk about this. That's nothing. The last year of his life doesn't define him at all.
No, and I hope it doesn't tarnish his,
It doesn't.
his thing. It shouldn't.
It doesn't.
But
it absolutely doesn't.
Because part of me I had a great sense of relief that he did pass because of what he was going through.
I mean, who knows who knows how much of that was really affecting him?
I mean, there's nobody in his corner. Anyways, look, we can't do a show about Stan Lee without listening to a little bit of the man's voice, his iconic voice. The first time I heard Stan Lee was the Amazing Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, where he would narrate. He was the narrator, and I remember that was when I heard him first. And then started reading comic books and found out. But here's a great example of another great thing he did. You know, we said he's part Walt Disney, part Mark Twain, and part P.T. Barnum, a showman, an entertainer, the guy who knew his audience and his brand. He was huge in connecting the readers with the creators. He would post photos of the bullpen, the artists, the letterers, the people in the comic book. And his stand soapbox monthly, you could read his words. So back in the 60s, you could sign up for their Merry Marvel Marching Society fan club. And for $1, you would receive a membership card, stickers, and you would get this little vinyl record that had a little show featuring Stan, Jack Kirby, all the people at Marvel, kind of like a very early podcast. I'm gonna play 30 seconds of this, all right? So relax. But it's very unique. It's very fun. It just shows how much he loved his fans and his audience, and he knew how to connect with them.
Okay, out there in Marveland, face front, this is Stan Lee speaking. You've probably never heard a record like this before because no one would be nutty enough to make one with a bunch of offbeat artists, so anything is liable to happen.
Hey, who made you a disc jockey, Lee?
Well, Jolly Jack Kirby, say a few words to the fans, Jackson.
Okay, a few words.
Look, pal, I'll take care of the humor around here.
You've been using the same gags over and over for years.
Well, you can't accuse me of being fickle, can you? By the way, Jack, the readers have been complaining about Sue's hairdo again.
What am I supposed to do? Be a hairdresser? Next time I'll draw her bald-headed.
That's so much fun. Imagine getting that as a kid, and you're like a fan of these comic books.
Cantankerous.
And you get to hear, like, what a great voice. He, like, tried to launch a show in 1968. There was a pilot for a TV show that never happened.
Let me add on to that, like his clips and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like even his cameos in films, like he's a great creator. Yes. He's a great promoter, but he's also just super charismatic.
Yeah.
You know, like him on the screen, it was always like a novelty, but he could definitely, I wouldn't say he could like act and, you know, hold his own in terms of an entire movie, but when he was on the screen, you were left feeling like, oh, that guy has a presence. He's not like fucking reading his lines like a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
He's actually delivering whatever you need from him. I mean, he was just overall like a larger than life personality.
And it was
when
just,
you've been to as many cons as I have,
Yeah.
and you've talked to actual creators, and they're
Yeah.
like completely not.
They suck.
yeah.
Yeah, they're not charismatic at all, and they're kind of like a disappointment. Stanley, I mean, this dude made his own like lingo.
Yep.
Right.
True believer,
Enough
Excelsior,
Excelsior.
Enough said.
Yes.
Like all of that stuff. Like he's coining phrases. I mean, he's a salesman. He's a promoter. He does stuff like that makes you remember him and like his own language almost. So it's great.
He was the type of guy that I feel like, and I never met him personally, but I feel like if you met the guy and you were like, who is the guy that created Spider-Man, Hulk, you know, Fantastic Four, Avengers, and then you met him, you wouldn't be disappointed with what
Right.
you saw.
You're like,
Whereas
oh.
like you wouldn't get some withdrawn dude that was into his own self and like wasn't all that sociable. You were getting a guy that was like, wow, this is the guy that could actually carry that mantle.
Right.
Not disappoint you.
Just super friendly, loved his fans, always eager to talk to everyone. I never got to meet him or take a photo. I wish I did, maybe like, 10, 15 years ago. In the
San Diego Comic-Con, my one of the guys in our group got to meet him. There was like
Yeah.
a raffle, and he
Yeah.
got to meet him. So
Oh,
he was
shit.
cool. Yeah, really cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
That was like 7 years ago. So he's 88 back then.
he was 88.
Spry 88.
Jesus,
Yeah, right?
so let's talk about some of your guys' favorite cameos.
Mallrats is my favorite.
Well, in Mallrats, he was already 72.
Yeah.
In fucking Mallrats, he looked great. That's one of my favorite cameos. Anthony, shout out some others. I made a whole list of my favorites.
And there's the two, of course you have a fucking list. The two that come to mind for me, I mean, I'm going to go back to the Marvel films, but
Sure.
him with Thor and Avengers Age of Ultron going, come on, give me some of that.
That's a great one.
I was on the beaches or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he gets wasted off the
like,
Thor's. And he goes, Excelsior.
He drinks Asgardian booze. It's
yeah,
great. Yeah.
that one. And then when he's like in Civil War, he's knocking on the window. He's like, "Are you? Is there a Tony Stank?"
Yeah. Don Cheadle's like, yes, that's Tony
And
Stank.
then the last one for me is the fact that Marvel, in a way, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, tied him into the
Yes.
Watchers, and I was like,
Yes.
that's fucking brilliant.
He was
If he-
telling stories of
He was
the
telling
other
the stories
cameos
to the Watchers about other cameos in other films. So it was basically like he was sent down as a Watcher to watch all
which
these
means
events.
he will be around forever. He could live on forever.
That was a stroke of genius, in my opinion.
You know, he had been doing cameos way before
Did
the
you see
MCU.
the one in the video game?
No, you know what? I haven't gotten to that point yet in the video game. So I heard in the PS4 Spider-Man game, there's a great cameo. I love the one from the Hulk where he's with Lou Ferrigno as security guards, just because it's fun to see Lou there. The Spider-Man 3 one is very touching, where he's just like, maybe one person can make a difference. And he's like, enough said. And when he's Larry King and Iron Man for a second is hilarious. The Amazing Spider-Man, where he's the librarian with the headphones. And there's just
he's the janitor.
Oh, he's the
cleaning up
janitor. And the battle's going behind him.
That's great.
That's a great one. And he's in the Deadpool as the strip club fucking guy.
He's also in the original 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Yes.
Where there's an episode where Spider-Man meets
He
Stan
meets
Lee.
Spider-Man and gets to go web swinging with his creation.
It's really funny.
It's so weird.
He's like riding Spider-Man.
Yes, he's hanging off him.
like Mary Jane.
But and then Thor Ragnarok, where he gives him the haircut. That's a great. There's so many great cameos, and apparently they filmed. I heard 5 more.
Oh, there's probably 10.
Man, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I believe.
I feel like at some point they were like, let's film a bunch of these. Probably,
we know for sure that
Captain
he
Marvel.
has cameos in Captain Marvel and Avengers, the last one. Yeah, I mean, they probably filmed more, but I don't know. I don't know how you tie those in.
I feel like you could film shit on a green screen in a certain way to have in the can.
Do you think the next Marvel movie will have a Stanley?
Well, the next one's Captain Marvel.
The next two will have cameos.
Yeah, 100%.
No, I'm saying we'll have like a
in memoriam or something.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, you definitely have to.
I feel like they may have just filmed. I kind of wish they filmed one last one that's touching and poignant, on purpose with Stan, and they're saving that for something special.
Oh, man. There's some. I mean, if they play a Stan Lee a poignant one in the movies, oh my god,
holy shit!
I'm gonna have to hold back.
On the other hand, they brought Peter Cushing back for Rogue One. That motherfucker's been dead since 1995. So
I don't want to see Stan Lee.
I don't want them to see them do that either.
recreated
No,
this-
please,
not this soon.
please don't do that. But
They won't. I don't think they would do
It
that.
would be cool if they did it years from now when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
We're expecting it to them to do that bullshit, and we don't want them to do it. So don't do it.
the last superhero Stan Lee made was going to be a Chinese superhero. So China was mourning them earlier this week too. This article from Variety said the hashtag Stan Lee has passed appeared a staggering 1.21 billion times by Wednesday evening, equivalent to nearly once per person in the world's country on their Twitter, which is called Weibo. But he was a Chinese superhero named Jewel was going to be his next character, based on the Hong Kong pop singer Gloria Tang CK, or Gem, who is sometimes referred to as China's Taylor Swift. So, I mean, the guy, that column he wrote that was anti-bigotry from 1968 that's gone viral, still relevant today. He was creating superheroes in Latin America, all over the world. He wanted to make global superheroes, and hopefully they continue with some of his projects. But, geez, I mean, the guy changed the face of Hollywood, modern comics. I can't imagine a world where that Marvel never happened. And unlike DC, who doesn't have a person, Marvel is Stan Lee. Stan Lee will always be Marvel.
Well, yeah, the thing about Marvel, when that company... See, Timely, it's different.
Yeah.
Timely's got multiple... Timely is more like DC.
Right, in the beginning, yep.
Right? There's all these different creators that are not linked together that come up with their individual characters, and then, you have Marston, you got Kane, you got Siegel and Schuster, or whatever.
Yep.
And then that creates Superman. Did I get that right?
Yeah, William Marston was Wonder Woman, Bob Kane, Siegel and Schuster, Superman, yes.
All right, so those are the 3 main creators there. And then I don't even know who did Aquaman, all the other guys.
I forget.
But, you had different creators in the beginning at Timely, and then Stan Lee being that everything's kind of generating out of him.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different. It is a Walt Disney. It is a thing where he's like a Steve Jobs or something like that, where the company it's his vision.
So this is one article from Hollywood Reporter makes a great point. You can liken him to even Steve Jobs and Thomas Edison, as in he was a creator with enough sense of himself to become the public face of work done by many people and bring it all together and present it and be a carnival barker like P.T. Barnum and a storyteller like Mark Twain all at once. Like, we'll never have another Stan Lee. Look, let's wrap this up before we take a break. What would you say to him, Ruggs, if you could meet him one last time?
I would just say thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing you can really say.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I do meet people, like I've met Art Adams, I've met like different people that have influenced me and influenced the things that I love. And I've just, all I could say is thank you.
Yeah.
And other than that, I mean, like I would ask him how he did it. And he always makes it seem like it's just so like cavalier. Like, well, I just saw a spider.
Yeah,
and
it
I
just
thought it would be
came out.
cool to crawl
It
on
just
the wall.
happened. Yeah.
You know, and he's like, and that's smart. I had the idea. And then I saw this, and he would just like get these random ideas from things, and like he just pulled them out of the ether.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that, you know, a lot has to do with it. The popularity of Spider-Man also has to do with Steve Ditko and his artwork and the design of the suit and
Jack
all that
Kirby,
stuff.
Gil Kane, all these early creators are a huge part of it.
But it also is like those guys didn't really, like, Steve Ditko was into this Ayn Rand shit.
Yeah.
And he was like, he couldn't deal with people. He was antisocial.
Yes.
Like, he was not, like, without that Stan Lee connection.
Yep.
You know, he would have probably gone into even more obscurity.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Even with Stan Lee,
He still, after he left, he like went back into obscurity. Like he just kind of retreated.
Kirby, same thing with Jack Kirby. Now I love Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby is the fucking man.
Kirby got to go to DC though and play around there and come back.
Was anything that he did on his own
not really.
successful?
No, it was always.
I mean, we know about the New Gods and we know about stuff like that, but like Stan Lee is on another level.
Did you know Stan Lee worked for DC briefly? Did you guys know that?
Yeah, I did know it. I wasn't familiar with anything that he did though.
In 2001, they had a series called Just Imagine. And he kind of this is the wrong link I put in here, but he reimagined DC heroes as like Marvel things, but he would do the thing where, you know how he names kids and characters and it's all alliteration, like Peter Parker, Bruce Banner. So like Bruce Wayne became like Wayne Williams and Shazam was like Ramon Raymond, and he made some of them African American and changed their genders and their ethnicities and had fun with it. It was a short-lived series in 2001, so the man even worked for Marvel, which was pretty crazy.
DC. Yeah. You mean DC?
I mean DC. I would say the same thing, Ruggs, is like when he died, the first thing was I said out loud, I was like, thank you for your inspiration, your imagination, your joy, your sense of wonder. Thank you for giving me a character that like helped me deal with the bullies at school and growing up and teaching me morals through entertaining art and strong characters and just fucking shaping my childhood. God, I can't, everything. The phrase, if it wasn't for Stan Lee blank, you could fill in so many things in there. If we wouldn't have this podcast. Anthony, what would you say to Stan?
I just got to echo all your thoughts. I mean, I wouldn't say I would say thank you for, giving me the influence to want to be a better person, to be a better, do right, do good things. Like, religion is a big part of that and family is a big part of that. But Stan Lee, I'd like to say, had a little part in that too, because of all the comics I've read and TV shows I've watched and now the movies. And yeah, I mean, just thanks for making me better, and that's the honest truth. I mean, when you think about all the all the stuff, the storylines and all that stuff, and it had to have had an influence on growing up. So yeah, thank you. And I think, at least as far as the movies, I think they're they're in good hands with Faihi. I saw some stuff with there was a Toy Story 3 where they put the faces on. They put the face of Stan Lee on the boy.
Oh,
they put the face of
I saw
Kevin
that.
Feige
Yes,
on the girl,
handing it off. Yes,
handing off all the toys.
It's like you got to play with him now. And here's the Hulk, and you got to play with the Hulk.
So at least for the movie universe, hopefully things are going. Going to keep going. And
He gets it. I trust him.
The influence is bigger than probably he ever imagined it would be right now.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's farewell.
It's hard to fathom just how big the influence is, how much. Like when you ask someone, they can't really even put it into words. Like all the things that he has inspired.
Yep, and
He may not have created everything, but he totally inspired
into
so many things.
Yes.
And not only that, but I want to say this too. I mean, he looked like he was having fun.
Yeah.
All the time.
I mean, he looked like
Always.
he enjoyed it. And he, at a certain point, I saw a couple of interviews with him, and he was saying that, at one point in time, I realized that this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
Like I thought I'd be like a real writer.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, a lot of people read these comics. Probably more than anybody would ever read my books if I ever wrote books.
Yeah.
And he realized that okay, this is important. I realized the magnitude of what this is, and I have to respect it.
As a creator, that's what every creator wants, and it's so rare for a creator to see his characters, grow and become icons. And
He is the 0.0 millionth percent.
Yeah.
Of like creators that not only are successful, but then see their artwork or see their work become this worldwide phenomenon. I mean, he's got people in China clamoring for his movies, or the movies that he's had influence on.
One final question before we finish this off. Like, do you think that Stan Lee got his due? I mean, for the fans, obviously, but do you think that Marvel did right by him and all that other stuff?
I mean,
I don't know enough about what happened with him and Marvel in those years that he was gone.
I mean, they kind of paid him off. Like they paid him off, and they went their separate ways.
Like the contribution is so monumental. I don't think you could even put a price on it.
Because that would be really Marvel owes them all the billions of dollars.
Let's rewind. When that happened, it was the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, things were big.
Yeah.
But they are infinitely bigger now. Like, I think you're looking through the lens of now, when at the time, it's different. Like, yes, he had this influence, but like now it's like this worldwide thing where it's up there with Disney and everything else that takes over the world.
Right.
So I mean, in retrospect, yes, he's probably they probably should have given him everything. Like he should get the world from Marvel.
Yeah.
But hindsight's always 20/20.
That's one of the things that about fandom that's so great. Like the people, like this community that were a part of or are a part of fandom of these comics. Like there was a time where like we were like these dudes like with very small population.
Yeah.
And nobody was on board with what we were doing, and people were making fun of us or saying that our hobbies are dumb or whatever. And now it's the most profitable thing.
The geeks have inherited the earth. Yes.
All right. That exists in any kind of medium. And the man that started it all was the one who respected that fan and spoke to that fan.
Yep.
That's a good point. That's something I didn't think of.
That's where it all starts.
I think that they do owe him a lot. And to build that brand, to have people my age that feel like and people older than me.
Yeah.
That have been touched by it and will stand behind the products. And that's why there is all of this kind of upheaval going on between, there's people who don't like the new comics, people who don't like, people who want change, people who don't want change.
I mean, I could see on one hand, it seems like they're shitting on what Stan created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the point is now is people are the things that you guys, and I was kind of in that tweener era where it was like, kind of cool as like comics, but kind of not.
Yeah.
The 90s.
It's cool to like it now.
But so
now
the thing is,
there's no stigma.
Regardless, now it's like, I have friends that are watching comic book movies. And I was like, you would have never wanted to watch this as a child. Like you would have thought this was stupid as a teenager.
Yep.
But I think the point is whether the comics are changing or they're becoming different. The fact is, everyone talks about it.
Yeah.
Literally, the world talks about these things. And they could be the minor, there's certain segments of fandom that are talking about the comics themselves. And there's certain segments of fandom that are talking about the movies. But everyone in the world, I would grant you, or the good majority of the world, if you ask them what a Marvel character is, who Spider-Man is, who Iron Man is, they're going to know. And it's this man that created it.
If you hold up a photo of Spider-Man anywhere on this planet, they will be like, that's Spider-Man. Like
you could literally go Spider-Man, Jesus,
Mickey Mouse,
and everyone would recognize all three.
I don't
know about Michael Jackson.
I would put Michael Jackson up there.
I don't know
on the
anymore.
No, but yes, I mean
the
it's
music
that
lives
iconic.
on, but I'm talking
Yeah.
about like the face.
Yes, the face, the iconography. And it'll be here. So look,
He creates something that everyone in the world can say they know about.
So it's a farewell to Stan. You know,
No, it's not, I
rest
mean, it's
in
not.
peace,
It's
but
sad, but it's not. It's more of a celebration.
It is a celebration. He will never be forgotten. He will continue to be talked about. Stuff that he's influenced will be continued to be talked about forever. And in fact, in the second half of this show, as we take a break, play some promos. We're going to come back with a little bit of geek news and news from the nation right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
If you're looking for a sports hosting show that gives you the flavor.
Tom Brady, thrown for over 60,000 yards, the most playoff victories, the most Super Bowls, the most Super Bowl MVPs. He is not the greatest of all time.
That brings the energy. Shaq quote, the earth is flat, close quote. The earth is round. That isn't about
This or that. It ain't this or that. Charles Barkley, 1994. You stole 2 home games in the Western Conference semifinals against the Rockets. Your team blows it in 7. 1 year later, up 3 games to 1. 2 games at home, and you blow that too.
Then you've come to the right place. I am that man, your man, the illustrious tour guide Cole Johnson. Cole Sports. On Cole Sports with a Z.
This is Todd Gersler. This is Craig Cosner. Hate this podcast.
The best show you never heard. The best show you're never going to want to hear.
I'm just trying to not work and laugh.
We're just trying to make each other laugh.
Politically correct is bullshit. You could be liberal and not be politically correct.
We're just trying to push the envelope.
We interview interesting people, comedians,
sex-positive feminists,
musicians. Most of all, we say whatever we want to say. We have a producer he likes to overstep the boundaries, right?
Yes.
He does.
He's not funny.
You may be offended, but you will laugh on iTunes
and Google Play,
Stitcher, and all that shit. I hate this podcast.
You can't possibly hate this podcast as much as we do.
Doc and Nerd.
Listener, if you've been enjoying the show and you want a little bonus Jock and Nerd, a little extra, I tell you what you got to do. Join our fan club. Just visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon, where you can financially support us monthly and you get bonus content. You get a whole nother podcast feed with hours of extra stuff in there, post shows, whole episodes, instant reactions to movies. Last week, we talked about the movement that happened because of Seth Morgan running a little impromptu pledge drive. Well, that movement didn't end after we recorded the show. I got to say thank you to Lisa Morrison for increasing her pledge. Thank you, Steve Morrison, for being a copycat and increasing your pledge.
Wowie zowie! Whoa.
The Morrisons are a great couple. Lisa first, then Steve. So that happened. And then thank you to new patron. This guy's a listener to the show. He's been on the show, friend of the show, Kevin McPartlin, also known as Kevin Stencils, also known as Mr. Anti-Hero. The Shane Bell worked on him. He's in for $5 a month. Jock and Nerd.
Whoa.
Check out his work on Instagram at Mr. Anti-Hero. He's a stencil artist. Very good. Loves the X-Men. We should have him back on soon. Miss the Kevin Stencils. So I gotta say thank you finally for Seth Morgan for matching, because now he's up $60 a month on the Patreon.
Oh shit.
Wow.
Yeah, we need like 10 more of those.
We need 10 more. He's a top earner. He's a good earner, that Seth
he's
Morgan.
a top Patreon
Top
guy.
dog gets what?
He gets first crack at Imran's butthole.
That's right. Thanks. Let me lube it up. I got plenty of lube.
When the purge comes.
Listen, thanks to Seth Morgan, already for November, we are up $23 in pledges and 5 new patrons.
Oh shit.
That's fucking crazy.
That's insane. Thank you so much. Holy fuck. I can't believe people give us money.
I don't know why. Thank you so much. We appreciate it so much. And for
Supports the show.
Support
100%.
the show. It helps the show come out every week. So for those people on the Patreon, you get to enjoy a couple of special things this week. We have a new episode of Jock Talk with a special guest, Anthony.
Yeah, Imran is on Jock Talk this week.
Ah, you squirmed your way in. What are you talking about?
Look,
He weaseled his way in.
This was not my idea. Thanks.
What sport is this?
Thanks. What? It's a CrossFit edition of John
yeah.
Talk.
I thought it was Olympic masturbation because that's gold medal in that.
My balls was hot. My balls was hot though. Look, thanks to it was Chaz's idea, and I thank him for the invite. And I'm not one like I was completely content. I love that you guys are doing your thing. I didn't want to interfere, and I'm not like you're gonna have me on. No, I don't care. So it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a pretty funny show. Check that one out. And by the time this show posts, we will have a full movie review of Starship Troopers, sponsored by said Seth Morgan for his movie pick.
It's going to be extra shiny for you, Seth.
We're going to polish it and get it nice and shiny.
Squirt bug juice all over your fucking face.
That's right. Any
bug bukag.
Only good bug's a dead bug. So sign up, jockandnerd.com/Patreon. A little bit of news here from, we'll do some geek news. Stuff that Stan Lee inspired, influenced, created. If it wasn't for Stan Lee, Sony right now would not be enjoying a huge international box office for Venom.
Oh, shit.
This Venom has given them one of their biggest hits.
Holy shit,
Since
700
2012. It opened to $100 million in China. Second biggest launch for a superhero movie. Boy, were we wrong about this fucking movie.
What a bunch of idiots.
This article says Venom threatles to $700 million.
They don't watch anything.
It's also pushed Sony to $2 billion at the box office this year. However, it says $700 million, but if you go to Box Office Mojo, it says it's at $677 million. But
it's close.
It's close. It's made $207 domestic on a $100 million budget.
That's insane.
Wow. Way more profitable for them than any Spider-Man movie.
Wow. This is the start of
a
whole Venom franchise.
So
not only a Venom franchise, but offshoot Spider-Man characters like
Morbius,
Craven, Silver Sable, Black Cat. What else did they play?
Habeas Corpus.
This movie,
Spider-Man 2099.
It made more money than Justice League already. So to that
How
point,
embarrassing is that for Justice League?
How embarrassing is that you couldn't get a movie that starred Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and The Flash, and fucking Tom Hardy's Venom beats it? What the shit?
Which one is the worst movie?
What the shit?
I think Venom is the worst movie.
Venom is the worst movie?
Than Justice League? I think Justice League is a weird Frankenstein movie.
Yeah.
I think Venom's actually like legitimately bad.
What about Batman vs. Superman?
Batman vs. Superman makes me angry, so I'm always against Batman vs. Superman.
I just, God, these are all hard
you can
questions.
watch Venom with it and go, it's a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch Venom, but then you're going to be like, that's a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah.
But then Justice League was just like a vanilla.
Justice League is the most vanilla movie ever, yeah.
Like, it leaves no impact on you. At least Venom kind of leaves you an impact. You're like, fuck
It's
yeah,
shit.
Tom Hardy.
It's shit.
So, look, here, this is...
Imran's 9 out of 10 Venom.
No, I said 6.5, 7, 8.
God.
I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But, fellas, here's the question. Found an interesting article, comicbookresources.com. Does the success of Venom give Sony an edge over Disney in its fight to keep Spider-Man? Because basically, Sony takes this calculated risk, it pays off, and now it seems Disney needs Sony's Spider-Man a little bit more than Sony needs Disney.
Well, I think they seriously botched the open door to Spider-Man in the Venom movie when they made the bad guy be the guy who wanders the earth for 6 months, where he could have attached himself to Spider-Man.
Could have had a Parker cameo.
And all that
Like,
shit.
what were those rumors of that Tom Holland cameo? Was that bullshit? Was that ever going to be in there?
I don't know.
Will we ever see that Tom Holland Spider-Man in a Sony movie?
Anyway they insert Spider-Man into this is going to be wrong.
Yeah.
So they're at a huge disadvantage there. Their only advantage that they have is that they can make a movie that's related to Spider-Man. People go see it. The minute they put Spider-Man in and it doesn't fit, like, the people who are ready to hate Sony are going to fucking really hate Sony.
What if Sony just cast their own Spider-Man, adult Spider-Man, and it's in their own separate
Because
Spider-Man
it's not
universe?
they're going to complain because it's not
Tom
it doesn't
Holland,
fit.
and it doesn't connect.
It doesn't fit properly. Like, Venom shouldn't exist on Eddie
Spider-Man.
Brock before Spider-Man. It just doesn't make any sense.
Anthony, after Spider-Man Far From Home, Holland's 6-movie contract and this weird deal is done. Do you think Disney will have to fucking buy Sony at any chance of getting a Spider-Man back?
I mean, I don't know. I think Marvel will figure it out, but I think they're going to have to give Sony a lot more money.
How much money would it take? How much did they buy Fox for?
$72 billion. I think it's what the number was.
I don't think they got another 72 laying around.
No, I think they busted their nut on the Fox
this
deal.
definitely does hurt the Spider-Man in the MCU in the future because Sony's going to be like, we can do this.
Sony's in a good spot right now.
They really are. And I think we all agree that this risk that paid off is probably a fluke, and I doubt they're going to be able to reproduce this with those other characters.
It is like a fluke.
It's not sustainable to make shitty movies over and over.
Right, because eventually people fucking get hip.
Like, do you think they know that they made a shitty movie and they fluked out?
I think they know they barely got away with making a fucking movie.
It's like a guy who spends one night with a really hot chick and thinks he can do it again.
Yes.
I think what they're thinking is, we made all this money and we didn't even have Woody Harrelson as Carnage yet.
Right. They're
Imagine how much money we can print when Woody Harrelson with that bad red wig. That stupid red wig shows up.
So, and that movie doesn't have to be good either, because all you got to show is fucking Carnage and some PG-13 bloodshed.
Too, because we've already seen Carnage fight another symbiote.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Or not Carnage, Venom.
Yeah, because that was the big thing was going to be so.
And it was boring.
It was boring.
It was kind of confusing.
Tell what was going on.
Yes, they punched each other out of their symbiotes, and I couldn't see what was happening. Similar colors, but fuck, dude, China loves Venom, and now Sony's sitting pretty with, this is the biggest franchise they've had in years. This is the biggest fucking hit they've had in years, Sony.
Yeah.
Most profitable.
It's terrible.
That's terrible. What the fuck is going on?
It's a sad day.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Exactly.
I mean, the last thing they made that made a lot of money was Jumanji.
Yes.
But before that, I mean, they were relying upon.
I think
the
this
Bond
made more
movies.
money than Jumanji. Yes, this made more than the Bond movies. That was their only franchise.
No, Jumanji made more.
Oh, Jumanji made more.
Yeah.
Jumanji.
But it was the Bond movies.
Yeah,
they don't really have a lot.
No, they've been. They had the. They
but
did the.
Now this puts the rocket to all those side characters that I'm sure you guys are
900.
Very interested in watching a Morbius film without Spider-Man.
Just put Spider-Man in.
Or a Craven Last Hunt without Spider-Man.
I don't know.
Hunt?
I don't know how you do that. Fucking giraffes and shit? What's he going to hunt? I don't want to see that. Ugh, I don't know.
I could totally see a fucking Craven like The Last Hunt just being some goofy guy wearing some leopard on his fucking body.
I mean, the only thing saving this is if they get rid of Avi Arad and Amy Pascal, but that's not happening either because they just made Sony a shitload of money.
They're in a good spot.
They're solid right now. Let's move on to another guy indirectly came about because of Stan Lee would be Deadpool. Everything is indirectly due to Stan Lee, really, honestly, if you trace it back. But we talked about this, the Deadpool PG-13 cut that's coming out. It has a title. It's called Once Upon a Deadpool. It will run on a limited engagement for 12 days from December 12th to Christmas. Now, we were saying, is this a cash grab? How much are they going to milk this? That's pretty brilliant. Here's how they combat that. For every ticket sold, $1 will go to a cancer charity called Fuck Cancer, which will be temporarily renamed Fudge Cancer, as a fundraising effort.
Ew, they've even done that.
Yeah, they even PG-13 the cancer.
Yeah.
But you know what? That gets my money. I've been affected by cancer. We do shit at work for cancer. If I could go see this movie in $1, I feel better. So Reynolds talked a little bit about that Fox has been asking for this PG-13 version since 2006. And he said no. And he said yes finally on 2 conditions. He said a portion of the proceeds had to go to charity. And then he says, second, I want to kidnap Fred Savage. Which he did. So Fred Savage is going to star and frame these in a Princess Bride parody. Holy shit. And the runtime is 3 minutes shorter than Deadpool 2. So I like the cancer tie-in. I think that helps.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a clear money grab, but it's enough of a twist that I think they can make
Christmas time.
They can do some stuff
charity
with it.
fundraising.
And they're throwing Fred Savage in
Fred
it.
Savage.
It helps a little bit that they know that what they're doing is completely soulless.
Yes. It's a self-aware thing.
So
they're going to use that to help people. That's fine.
That's great. And they're riding that great line of being self-aware. I love even on the poster it says no F's given, which is great on several levels. It's a PG-13, won't be swearing, and they don't give a fuck. It's great. Okay. I want to talk about this trailer for Pokemon Detective Pikachu movie. What the fuck?
Oh, shit.
I was not expecting from Legendary, guys, the guys about Godzilla. I didn't expect this trailer to be what it was, and it kind of surprised me, and I kind of dug it a little bit. Anthony, you were in the Pokemon generation.
I am the guy that grew up playing Pokemon.
Yes, so tell us, as the guy who grew up playing
For
Pokemon,
about 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years.
with early with the cards.
Oh, with the game on Game Boy.
The Game Boy game. That wasn't
Game Boy game was the first thing.
It was color Game Boy, right? That version.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Game Boy game, wasn't it a cartoon originally, or the game came first?
I don't remember.
All right, what'd you think of this?
Oh man. I mean, so I grew up playing with Pokemon. Let me just look up what the fuck it was first.
What did you think of it? God, I need to know.
What?
Do you need to know? All right.
Stop burying the lead, Anthony.
It's not what I was expecting for sure. I mean, well, growing up playing Pokemon and watching it on TV, the cartoon, collecting the cards, seeing the first movie, Pokemon the movie. I mean, all of it's this fantasy, land of catching animals and training them, and evolution of involving the animals to fight in a gladiatorial battle sort of feel.
An arena, and you got Ash, trainer.
Yeah. So I mean,
what were you expecting?
For the first live action film?
Yeah, that.
I was kind of expecting that.
Yeah.
And then instead, you got Ryan Reynolds talking as a Pikachu, who's like the most iconic character in the whole thing. And this was not at all what I was expecting. I watched the whole thing and I was like, I don't know if I like this or I don't. I was just like, this is completely strange. I don't even have an opinion. I was just more like flabbergasted on the direction.
Yo, I kind of dug it.
I was like, "Where's Mark Wahlberg?"
Mark Wahlberg.
Isn't this Ted?
It seemed like Ted.
Yes,
yeah,
It's very dark. You didn't expect it to be so dark. I kind of love the idea that only the kid can hear Pikachu and nobody else can. That's kind of clever because you can have a lot of fun with that. But dude, I thought the effects look great and like the arena scenes, and it looks like it's scary, and it looks. This looks like fun. Like I might actually want to go see this. Rugs, what do you think?
Well, I think it was weak sauce that they had to do Ted. And like Anthony said, he's expecting a Pokemon movie that just basically, beyond a shadow of a doubt, proves that Pokemon is lame because you can't make a movie about it without making it something else.
Look, but I disagree. So Dylan McCandless on our Facebook group posted this comment. I kind of agree. He said, I'm glad that they aren't trying to adapt the story of Ash Ketchum. It doesn't really lend itself to a movie format. And I do kind of agree. I like the way
you
they're
agree
this.
with something you've never seen. You don't.
So
what's the Ash Ketchum story?
I've watched some of the cartoons.
So Dylan McCandless is pretty much saying what I'm saying.
Yeah, he said exactly what you're saying.
Ketchum is lame and Pokemon is lame, so you have to make it something else so people like it.
I watched the cartoons. I've watched some of them.
Why?
I don't know. They were just on like in the afternoon, like when it started, and I was like, and I think everyone was. I was like, let me see what this Pokemon is. I kind of enjoyed like the anime style.
The appeal for me as a kid was I enjoyed having monsters fight each other. So you could train your Pokemon, your monsters, to then fight each other. That was the whole appeal for me, is catching them and then training them to fight other people.
Do you think, I know some Pokemon fans, adults, and I've heard from parents who have kids that everyone is super geeked for this, and it's probably going to make a shit ton of money.
I mean, there's a whole generation that grew up playing this.
Of course.
I don't know if the whole, like, all of my friends that have seen this trailer that knew about Pokemon, grew up with it, were all like, what the fuck?
They're like,
but I mean, some people were like, whoa, that's kind of cool. Like, it's kind of got a Ted feel. Let's see, like,
They made a movie that people would watch even not knowing what Pokemon is and giving a shit about.
That's the appeal. It's a broader appeal.
I mean, Pikachu looks totally cute. I like Blake Braden also left this comment. He says, I'm a total in the closet Pokemon fan, so I will enjoy this movie as I illegally watch it from my home and not in theaters where I may be the only adult without a kid.
I never would have imagined. Let's put it like that. I never would have imagined Pikachu's real voice to be Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. I think it kind of works though. It's kind of endearing, and then
it's kind of on the nose.
You know, kids will watch this, and then they'll grow up and they'll watch Deadpool, and they'll be like, "Holy shit, Deadpool's Pikachu!"
I wonder how close they'll get to how it really is in the show.
Pika.
Like, will it eventually evolve into?
Well, there looks like to be arena battles.
Yeah, that stuff.
You know, they should make it the Michael Vick Pokemon.
Oh shit! What does that mean? Like fucking
Michael Vick
dog fights in the backyard?
Yeah, that's basically what Pokemon is.
Back alley Pokemon.
You just go. It's like a cockfight, right?
It literally is. That's really at its core is what it is.
It's a fucking
You capture
dog fight.
animals and put them in an arena to fight each other.
Wow, it seems so fucking inhumane and horrible. Pokemon rights. I wonder if they'll
catch them and you train them.
They'll bring that up. Pokemon
you never get hurt.
Not at all as I was expecting. I didn't even know that a Pokemon movie was coming out. And one of my friends was like, "What do we think about this?" I was like, "Pikachu. What the fuck is this?" And I looked it up. I was like, "Oh my god."
Remember when Pokemon Go was hot for like a week?
Oh, was that when they catch them on your phone?
Yeah, that was
hot for like a week or two.
People still play that, I guess.
Yeah, there's like Pokemon Go meetups.
But remember how crazy people got? They were walking into traffic in front of cars, falling into manhole covers. People have lost their mind.
Like churches were like, "Could you put some in here?"
Yes, to get people in.
Get some people to church.
It was big. I mean, Pokemon's was a big thing.
You know what else is a big thing? Godzilla and King Kong. That movie has begun production.
Yeah.
And we have our plot synopsis. Let me know what you guys think of this vague plot synopsis, as they all are. It says, in a time when monsters walk the earth, humanity's fight for its future sets Godzilla and Kong on a collision course that will see the two most powerful forces of nature on the planet collide in a spectacular battle for the ages. As Monarch embarks on a perilous mission into uncharted terrain and unearths clues to the Titan's origins, a human conspiracy threatens to wipe the creatures, both good and bad, from the face of the earth forever. What does that last two sentences mean?
I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like it's going to be what I'm sure.
Is it
what
going to be Mechagodzilla?
That I was reading some theories online, and this would be a good movie to bring out. Like, if they're going to do a storyline where the humans might be kind of the enemy, you know, you're going to have Godzilla and King Kong fight. And then they're going to have to team up eventually against the common threat. And if it's the humans that are fucking causing all this, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Mecha Godzilla or a Mecha King Kong.
Or a Jaegers.
Shit.
Yeah, or Jaegers, yeah.
So how they explain his size, Kong's size, is the other thing I'm wondering.
It's been, 30, 40 years
He just got bigger. He just grows.
Yeah.
No, they basically, listen, this is monster movie science.
Right.
Which is not real. You know, Godzilla can't really exist.
Right.
So he would collapse under his own weight. Right. So King Kong in Skull Island is young, and they said that he's only going to get bigger. So there you go.
So he's just going to grow. This we got to wait till 2020.
That's all you need, really.
For Godzilla versus Kong. Of course, Godzilla King of the Monsters is coming out before.
They already made King Kong bigger in that movie anyway.
They did.
Yeah, he was already the biggest he's ever been. It's up in the King Kong Godzilla films.
King of the Monsters is coming out
Toho
next year?
It's still weird for me that King of the Monsters is coming out this year.
Wait, 2018?
Next year,
2019. And then
it's still weird as a big time kaiju fan that King Kong comes after King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan. But
should be the other way around, like Godzilla.
I mean, if you're talking about real power sets, King Kong is not as strong as not
He's
as strong
the most
as
famous.
Yeah, not as strong as a team up of those three. Definitely not.
Should be.
I think it's gonna be tag team, Anthony.
Tag team?
Yeah, it's gonna be Mothra and Godzilla versus Rodan
and Kong.
No.
King of the Monsters. Sorry,
King of the Monsters. I think it's gonna be tag team, and then there's definitely gonna be like a BVS where they're going to fight for like 5 minutes, and then something else is going to come, and they're gonna have to kick its ass.
Wait, your mom's name is Martha too?
Well, I don't think
there was a joke online.
They should squeeze in a Martha joke in there.
What it would be is they'd go, You know Mothra?
Mothra! Oh, Mothra! Oh my God, that's it. Because I was going to ask, what if in Godzilla vs. Kong, some of the kaiju from King of the Monsters maybe are still around, they cross over, like maybe there's a cameo, but it should be Mothra, because then they both know Mothra.
Right.
They're like, hey, we're buddies. Why are we fighting? It's these shitty humans we got to fight.
The one thing I'm interested in seeing those plot synopses and seeing the trailer for the King of the Monsters is they keep talking about like the Titans having an effect on like weather and stuff,
like the planet,
yeah, like the planet, and like by us trying to get rid of these things, it fucks with the planet. I'm just trying to figure out how they're tying this all in together.
I mean, in that
like,
trailer,
what weird pseudoscience do we have going on here?
I love it in that trailer how you just see like epic storms and post-apocalyptic style shit, like the planet's fucking freaking out, the weather's going crazy.
Or like, is it because we're destroying the planet that these Titans are coming out?
To stop us?
Now they've named them Titans, too. I guess they can't use Kaiju because Pacific Rim used Kaiju.
Or Mudo. The Mudos. They're not Mudos anymore, right?
No, they've been using Titans in a few synopsises now.
Yeah, they're called the Titans. Titans. Does it remind you of the shitty DC show?
There you go.
Because Kaiju just means monster.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to make it more majestic. So
yeah, I appreciate that, I guess.
Titans. Look, titties. If you are a DC fan out there and you are highly anticipating Aquaman coming out December 21st, and you have Amazon Prime, check out this fucking promotion. Amazon Prime is going to offer nationwide Aquaman screenings on December 15th.
Wait, how are they going to do that?
5 days before regular U.S. release. Theater chains like Regal Cinemas, Cinepolis, Bowtie Cinemas, ArcLight, Showcase Cinemas, and Studio Movie Grill will feature 7 p.m. screenings of Aquaman for Amazon Prime customers. And then the movie will preview later, the 20th. But this will be 5 days earlier. So they did this for Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle and Hotel Transylvania. And Jumanji had sold out. This is a very interesting, like, streaming Amazon Warner Brothers promotion here. My wife has Amazon Prime. We have the household. I'm like, oh shit, we can watch this. We can see this movie 5 days before. It will already be out in overseas and in China. It opens on the 7th in China and then 21st. But what do you guys think of this promotion? And do you think we'll see more of these kind of promotions?
Watch it on Prime before the theater?
No, you watch it in the theater, but you can only get the ticket if you are a Prime subscriber, a Prime member. They're going to do special screenings one time on the 15th.
I mean, it's a cool perk of having that subscription for sure.
That this makes me want to get Amazon Prime if I didn't have it.
That's cool.
I know it is cool. I mean, it won't make me get Amazon Prime, but it's a cool perk.
Really cool promotion. Okay, a couple of quick TV news things, and then we'll get to news from the nation. The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau's Star Wars streaming Disney Plus show, cast a couple of people. Pedro Pascal is confirmed to star Oberyn Martell and the guy from Narcos. He's a great actor. And joining the Mandalorian, Gina Carano.
Geek boner.
She's a terrible actress.
We saw her in the first Deadpool.
She's awful.
Ex-pro wrestler, right?
No, MMA fighter.
Oh, she's ex-MMA fighter.
Come on, Imran.
I don't know things. I was on Jock Talk once. It's not enough. No, but I think she'll make an awesome looking like warrior in this bounty hunter world on Mandalore. And then Game of Thrones has confirmed their premiere date. There's a new little teaser video out. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but it will be coming out April 2019, which is going to be hilarious because then by May, it'll be over. Like that quickly.
Why will it be over?
Because there's only, I think, 6 episodes. But
I heard they might split it up. No,
I think there's only 6 or 7, but they have said all the final episodes will be longer than an hour.
Oh shit,
dude! What do you guys think of this little video? Like they show you, I kind of got me hyped up. It was a cool.
I didn't see it.
I watched it. I mean, it's just clip. What are you doing?
Sorry,
it's just playing clips
Seat
from
Battle
the past.
Of the Bastards,
it's good.
Cersei.
I mean,
I was like, oh,
it wasn't anything where like you haven't seen before, but it was a nice hype video.
Yeah, no new footage, but it does definitely get you hyped. This is #for the throne. So April, guys, 2019, all to be over a month and a half later. And then we can all just go on with our lives.
Without the thrones.
Without the thrones, we will have a winner. All right, time for news from the nation. I'm very excited to play my new drop.
It's time for news from the nation.
It's time for news from the nation. It's not done yet. Okay, I think it's done now.
There should be like a zipper. And like sound of shit hitting a toilet
And a
bowl.
thud.
Yeah.
Plop.
It's time for news from the nation.
No, they don't. It doesn't have to be dick related. It can just be like, all the sounds that we like.
Just came out of a bag. All right, well, the bag's open. Let's start with this. Seth Morgan posted on our Facebook group. Great question. So just a thought. He's asking all of our listeners in the group, how'd you guys get into comics? This is a great question.
Anthony can go first.
Who wants to go first?
I mean, kind of reiterate what I said earlier about Stan Lee, but as a kid watching cartoons, X-Men, Spider-Man, all those cartoons, and then seeing those characters. I don't know what came first, either seeing them on TV or being at, because they used to have, I remember seeing comics at like Jewel. Like
Yeah, they had spinner racks back in the day.
Like those spinner racks at the end of the aisle. So I remember seeing those and being like, I like this. Like these characters are big and muscular and are fighting each other. This is awesome. So I don't know what came first, but either TV shows or the comics at the store. But either way, they both crossed over into one another and made me like comics, like looking at the pictures as a child. And then what got me back into comics once I started to grow up was seeing the movies, seeing like
MCU.
The MCU especially. I mean, seeing, Spider-Man, Hulk, those movies that first came out, I was like into it. But then seeing Iron Man, literally the thing that really got me into comics again was seeing Iron Man at the end of that go, and then Sam Jackson going, you're part of a bigger world. This
the
is
tag.
I want to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative. I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. This is part of my childhood that's now cool on screen. Let's get back into this. And, seeing like the Dark Knight, Batman Begins, like those movies, Dark Knight, Iron Man, those movies got me back into comics. And now I'm out of comics again, but I still like the media around it.
Absolutely. My story is, like I said earlier, I grew up with Spider-Man. I knew about Spider-Man my whole life, but it wasn't until my cousins, I think I was maybe 10, 11, 12, they brought over, it's all due to my cousins, 2 big garbage bags full of random comics. Everything from DC, Batman comics from the 60s and 70s, Spider-Man comics from the 70s.
Spider-Man.
It's pronounced Spiderman. Archie and Richie Rich and just a bag of random loose comics, and that was it, man. I devoured them. I started drawing them. They were on my wall. I copied them, and that was it. I started buying them weekly, and I'm still surrounded. I have several short boxes in this room, way too many. Filling it up, and I'm still kind of reading comics, but thanks to Anthony in 2011 is when I also got back into comics with you with the New 52. That was a lot of fun. Ruts, how'd you get into comics?
I'm typing something, but anyway,
stop typing. You're a felty.
All right.
Yeah, you're typing with your fucking mouth.
All right, so
must hurt.
So basically, the interest began with the action figures. Obviously, you get dolls, then you watch cartoons. But I couldn't read for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And my dad or my mom would never buy me anything like comics because like they're just like, this is stupid. Anyway, so my library when I was in my elementary school had these books. They were basically like the first issue of Amazing Fantasy in a hardcover. They had like all of these comic books like in a hardcover that you could take out from the library. And I remember when I was in like first grade, second grade, we'd have library day. We'd go down to the library. You could take out a book. So I would take out that Spider-Man book like every week and read it. And until I couldn't read, but I would just look at the pages. And then eventually when I could read, I read it, and then I would take it out even more. And then eventually I graduated from that school, and I was like, middle school, and I could read, and I could walk to the comic book store, and I could ride, because you used to have a local comic book store that you could ride your bike to. And once I walked into this fucking store, and I saw all the comics, and I was like, holy shit. And I became obsessed with going to comic book stores. Not just book, I didn't have a lot of money to buy them, but I wanted to be in the store and just look at what they have and all. It was weird shit in them. And then I learned that they had a store in the local mall. There was like a comic book store. So I went and I sought that out. And I was just like hunting for comic book stores, like pedaling my bike to every store. Eventually, when one day I got a bunch of used comics from somebody's garage sale or something. And there was like maybe like a couple of long boxes. And my mom brought them home. And though they were all Spider-Man, X-Men, all the runs.
Wow.
Not from the beginning of Spider-Man, but all the 70s shit.
But in sequential, you had
every issue.
Holy shit.
The Spider-Man, the black costume, that whole saga, the Sin Eater, Craven's Last Hunt.
Damn, I had to go buy all that shit when
it was instantly in my possession.
Wow,
and I read them all.
Wow.
And then as soon as I got any money for my birthday or whatever, I'd pedal to the comic book store and buy some shit. And so it became this like obsession. And I remember there was a couple of guys that were at the comic book store that were like the comic book store geeks.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Get the fuck out of here, you weird fucking Eastern European fuck."
That kid smells funny. Get him out of here.
You're not an American. And they would fucking,
as it should be.
And they were like, they're like, "You're a weirdo." And
go back.
But I just hung out there, and they eventually I became cooler than them. So I was like, "You're a fucking jerk off. Get out of here, you dumb fuck."
It's so different now, because back then the game was like you would buy the weekly comics, but then you get to go to the stores and go back and fill in these story arcs and complete your collection. And I was so proud of having like Spider-Man 200 through 300, like almost every issue of the 200 run and before and after. And you would go back and fill in and learn about these stories. You can't even find stores that sell fucking back issues anymore.
I just remember when I started reading like the current issues.
Yeah.
That's when McFarlane was starting to come around.
Yeah, I started reading right before McFarlane.
Yeah, me too. At the same time.
So I started reading when Peter and Mary Jane were getting married. He had proposed to her. Like it was just after gang war, and he asked her to marry him, and she said yes. And I remember distinctly buying that at the shop.
I remember this is a funny memory that I have from comic book collecting is that as soon as I found out what the Marvel Universe Handbook was, I had to have every issue of it. 'Cause I wanted to know. First of all, I was too lazy to read all the comics in the world. So if I just read the Marvel Universe Handbook, I know everything. I know all the characters. I know what they did. I know who the fuck they hated, who they wanted to fight, what their powers were. So I got all of those. So then I was like, okay, it's time for me to fucking do the DC one. And DC's handbook was so lame.
It can't be as like the Marvel Universe Handbook is amazing.
It was so lame.
Every
and
little
like
character's in there.
The minute I started reading the names, like Lightning Lad and Aqua Lad.
Matter Eater Lad.
Yeah, they were just terrible names.
Look, man, DC does it first, Marvel
these
does
guys
it better.
are lame. And so I just became a Marvel guy, except for Batman. That was it. Like I would occasionally buy Superman every once in a while. Maybe get some Vertigo stuff when I got a little older. This and that. But like I tried so hard to get into DC, and it was just not working, dude.
Not to make this a bash on DC, but I really think it hurts them that, number one, a lot of their characters are kind of lame. But number two, that it's just not, and they've been trying to do this more in the recent future, but their stories aren't set in places that we know. Like they're fictional cities.
Yeah.
Like, I think it really helped Marvel that they were, this Spider-Man's in New York and all, a lot of these characters are in places that you could actually go to and visit. And they're drawing cityscapes that you could see that are actual real places, whereas DC was Gotham and Metropolis.
Made up. And not just New York, but the specificity of like Peter Parker is from Queens.
Right.
Matt Murdock is from Hell's Kitchen. And it was just Stan writing what he knew growing up in New York, and it just grounded it. That's why that's what attracts you to Marvel stories, to Marvel comic books.
Yeah, it just was like, it just seemed to be more haphazard in the DC. It wasn't stitched together as well as Marvel. And then you realize that it's because of Stan Lee. You realize because
there's one guy
was in charge.
Had a vision.
And I said all these DC characters were all like made from different creators that were not even trying to make a shared universe at the time.
Yeah.
So even though Marvel did it later, it was forged that way.
Man.
And that's why the continuity's better. That's why it makes more sense together.
Well, Stan Lee's shit will live on forever. I got an iTunes review I want to share from his name is Sammy Jr. Oh, Sammy Jr. 16. Thought it was.
You just wanted his name to be Samir.
Samir. I thought it was something like Arab name. No, it's Sammy Jr. Although a lot of Arab guys will be like, call me Sammy. I'm your friend. Okay, my friend? My name is Sam. He says, love your show, guys. Been listening since around the summer, since I've been getting bored at work. Love how Anthony points out how Imran either agrees with or likes everything, despite it being bad.
It's true. Someone's got to do that.
Rug Boy is also enjoying to have on the show. I mean, what other show has a puppet that watches movies and TV on its free time?
None.
And also, if you guys happen to read this, what are y'all's thoughts on this Netflix series called Agretsuko?
Sounds like a complete waste of time.
Agretsuko. It's a 10-episode series, each 10 to 15 minutes each. So it's a quick watch. It's all about a millennial who doesn't like her job and deals with it secretly singing death metal at a karaoke place after work. It's a lot more interesting than I'm making it, though. Thanks, and keep up the good work, guys. So it's an anime, 15-minute anime.
It's too hip for me.
It's like really stylized, cutesy drawings of this cat, Agretsuko.
I mean, I might check it out just because he thinks it's cool.
It's 10 to 15 minutes. I may give it a go. But thanks for the recommendation, Sammy Jr. But I know you're really Samir. Come on,
thanks for the review. I haven't checked out this cartoon, but I'm game for anything.
Yeah.
So I'll check it out.
I appreciate that he appreciates me hating on Imran when Imran's an agreeable idiot.
Somebody has to. This is what makes the show great, is our dynamic.
Yeah.
Louis Paz checking in with his thoughts on the Stan Lee.
What's up, guys? It's Louis. It's Monday. I just found out that Stan Smiling Lee has just died, 95 years old. And, well, shit, dude. I just wanted to say some stuff. Because this guy, is responsible for a lot of shit that we know and love today. And fuck, who would ever thought, your childhood shit, the characters that, he helped create everybody he collaborated with to create these stories of all these characters that, we love near and dear. Who would have ever thought that it'd become what it is today? From the comic book pages that we became fans of, to the cartoon series that, we loved a lot, to now movies and, Blockbuster and leading the industry. Who would have thought, so I just wanted to say, that's amazing. And shit, man, you lived longer than I thought, man, than I thought he was going to live. So Excelsior.
Nice.
Nice.
Thanks for your thoughts, Louis. Yeah, man, video games and movies and it's never going to end.
Everything.
Amazing output. Finally, I'm not even going to tell you who this is. Just play it.
What's up, Jock and Nerd Nation? Matthew James back again. The Speak Pipe King just got out of The Girl Trapped in the Spider's Web. I've read every single book in the series. I know everything there is to know about the character Elizabeth Salander. She's a badass female protagonist, one of my favorite for sure. Overall, the movie was pretty cool. I think there's some disconnect going on with the American audience because this book franchise is based in Sweden. Definitely changed some things from the book. It had its action scenes. It checked every box on the list. There's a badass scene where one of the characters is using a sniper rifle hooked up to a computer, and he's using the cameras inside the house that he's sniping into to track the people inside. It's pretty awesome. Anyways, go check this movie out and read the books because they're amazing. I watched the Detective Pikachu trailer that just dropped recently, and that movie looks pretty awesome. Every Pokemon fan in the world, biggest fantasy is to see Pokemon in the real world. So this movie looks pretty cool. I'm excited to see it. Last but not least, Rip Stan Lee. Saw that he died. Didn't know the guy, but he seemed pretty cool to me. Also watched the People's Choice Award, and Marvel freaking cleaned up. They won Best Action Movie, Best Overall Movie with Avengers. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, let's start hashtag Skin Yamaka. Let's get that trending. And every time I say this show sucks, Anthony laughs. So you guys suck. You guys are horrible. I don't know why I listen to the show. Anyways, keep it up. See you later. Bye.
The People's Choice Award is interesting because I remember
he does listen to the show.
He does listen. He gets all of it. And you are right. Who's enabling who now? Anthony laughs every time he says the show sucks.
It's you.
But
Anthony, it's your fault.
It's my fault. Yes, I'm moving it on.
I created the monster known as Matty J, the Speak Pipe King.
That's it. Can somebody dethrone the self-proclaimed Speak Pipe King? That is my mission to you.
Let's throw down a gauntlet. Like
Listener.
Matt Miller's been has a residency on this.
Somebody needs to take him
News
down.
from the Nation for like weeks.
Somebody needs to take him down. But regarding the People's Choice Awards, I saw Marvel's also pushing Avengers Infinity War for like 10 Oscars, as well as Black Panther.
Really?
Yeah, they're going to make it it's the usual like cinematography, creative like effects and costuming and just, visual effects. But I think they're going for like best director and maybe best screenplay or some shit. I don't know. They're being aggressive. We'll see what happens. Anthony, Felty League update, yes or no?
No, let's fuck it. Shit. I suck. I'll tell the Felty League update is I stink at.
Wait, I like to play the music though.
All right.
Here's the National Felty League update.
Anthony sucks. He's losing. That's it.
I suck. Right now, Humberto Rivera and Chaz Hubbard are tied at 7-3. In the Marvel division, Matthew Lawrence and Joe, formerly from work, are both also 7-3. So,
very
in the DC
good.
division. So, there you go.
When will this be over? Soon?
Not soon enough.
Damn it. Anthony's getting nothing. And then finally, shout out to our pod buddies, Jason Dutch and TJ Johnson, because on Monday, when Stan Lee died, Jason reached out to me. He's like, hey, you want to do a quick emergency podcast with us about this? And I was like, yes, I need to process these thoughts. I would love to. So they put out a bonus Remembering Stan Lee episode with me as guest. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to hear that. Ruggs, where can the people find you online? What are you doing? Anything interesting?
Nope. I'm just on Twitter.
Alrighty.
I'm not even doing much, but if you want to follow me, go to Really Rug Boy at Twitter.
And he's in our awesome Facebook group. Listener, again, help us grow. We got Cyber Monday and Black Friday coming up this week. Buy a Jock and Nerd t-shirt and give us some free advertising. Wear it out. Give it as a gift.
Yeah, give it as a gift.
Just hand out pictures of Rug Boy.
See, listen.
Yes.
Give the guy this shirt and go, listen to this. Go to this website.
And then grab his phone, subscribe him, and then give him the shirt. So jockandnerd.com/shop during the racist Black Friday and the even more racist Cyber Monday. I think that's more racist. There will be store-wide sales. And of course, tell a friend. Share the show. Help us spread the geekery. Grow this empire of stupidity. Thanks for listening to the Jock and Nerd podcast. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the nerd.
We will hear you next time.
My balls was hot.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.